Are these the best units to help you score in the Million Arena? How's it, everybody? Celtic Link here. We got another Dokkan Battle video for you here today. We are taking a break from doing our runs in the Million Arena because we are just having some bad RNG, and we're actually going to talk about a little piece of information dropped by both Global and JP Dokkan on Twitter, and that is the top 10 or top 5 on Global units being used currently in the Million Arena. We're going to kind of explain why each of these is being used, whether or not they are a good choice, and we're going to actually show you a breakdown of all of the units and possible strategies you could go for. We've done quite a few in our previous videos showing you the runs, but we're going to kind of just go over some of the best choices here. So let's talk about this list here, right? We have top 10 from JP Dokkan, consisting of the Vegito and Gogeta as number 1 and 2, the Grade 8 Goku as number 3, the Broly Trio 4, the LR Super Saiyan 4s as 5, 6 with the GT Goku, 7 with the LR Super Saiyan Gods, Tao, Beast Gohan, and Fizz Blue Vegeta. A lot of these make sense, and you're going to understand why they're here in a second, but some of these just seem way out. And then, you know, we go over to Global, and it's even worse, right? Global's shows Vegeta and Gogeta, Tao, Bulma, and Glorio, right? So basically the best I can surmise about this list here is you have to remember the broader scope of players probably are not watching YouTube or probably not on social media and seeing the different strategies. But I will say one of the most common strategies, which we'll go over here in a second, is the Family Kamehameha, which actually requires you to use Vegito as one of your leads for the 220%. So that one makes sense. Broly Trio, as we've seen in several of our videos, they make a whole lot of sense. These two I'm going to chalk up to players just not knowing. Same with the number 5 and number 7 picks. However, the rest kind of makes sense why they're up here, right? We know that GT Goku is one of the most effective strategies. Tao is also a really great strategy. Now, I haven't shown the Tao strategy. I will probably show that one in a bit, as it does require a bit more RNG, and I know most people didn't summon on Tao. That's why I didn't do that one, but it is an effective strategy. He can get one of the higher scores. Beast Gohan is here is because on certain setups he acts as a usher slash stunner, right? Just basically able to absorb the attacks when you're on your Nuking lead. So I can understand why he's here. He's not the most effective at it because he can't do it till turn 3, but you know, it's there, right? He can work off lead as well. And then, of course, right, the Fizz Blue Vegeta is here, of course, because he leads the GT Goku setup for the Nuking lead. The Global one makes a whole heck of a lot less sense, because the only one that makes sense here is Tao and Vegito for the lead for Gohan. Gogeta doesn't make any sense. You're not going to get any use of him out here. Bulma is actually one of the worst choices for this event due to her actually rainbow orb changing, right? It's kind of the same problem as GT Goku has, right? But GT Goku, you need him for the Nuking. Bulma, you do not. Bulma can accidentally turn orbs you need into rainbow orbs, which is not good. Glorio works kind of support, but there's only a couple setups that he works on, but he is there. So I'm kind of curious how they pulled this data. I'm assuming they just looked at a bunch of teams that were out there and tallied them up, you know, whether those teams were successful or not. They just took the most used characters. So this, you know, it'll be interesting to see what the final list looks like. But what I wanted to do this time is take some time to you know, go over with you guys a bunch of different strategies that we may or may not have already shown that you may not have thought of. We will be showing a few more of these in the coming days. So basically, these are the most useful characters you want to use in the in the event, right? As we went over, right, it is primarily nuking, so you want to with the exception of the Gohan strategy, you want to prioritize nuking leads, right? So that is the Fizz Vegeta, the STR Piccolo, the Blue Goku, and the Int Beerus. These are going to be your major choices. There are no good AGL nukers, which is why you don't see the Frieza here, for example, because there are no good AGL damage dealers for this. If we look here, right, we can see some of the major damage dealers for this. And by the way, shout out to Ombre on Twitter for this little graphic. It is an amazing graphic, and, you know, something I was actually working on putting together, but I appreciate that somebody made it look a lot nicer than I did. So, right, we have the two Tau strategies, which work very similarly. I still think that the STR Tau is probably the best strategy to get the highest raw attack, which is going to result in a higher placement. I haven't seen much get higher, right? The Gohan just barely scratches the 99 million. GT Goku for the 240, 260 million is a good one. The Kaioken Goku can actually get pretty high, rivaling that of GT Goku, but he also requires, you know, a lot of luck on the setup there, a lot more than GT Goku does, but he is an option, right? Because if we look here, right, his Extreme Z Awakening, right, as we've seen how he kind of works, he gets... Where is it here? Are we on the... Yes, we are on the Extreme Z, right? So you have to be careful because he does change his own key spheres, and you're not guaranteed what you're going to get. But as long as you get the STR orbs or Fizz orbs, right, he's going to launch 2 additional super attacks. And if you put him on a Fizz nuking lead, you're going to get, right, you're going to get not only 2 additional attacks, but you're going to get an additional 40% per key sphere. That is actually higher than GT Goku's, who's at 35 per key sphere. So he can work really well. I mean, his attack is obviously lower than GT Goku, so he's not going to be hitting as high. Or, well, he just like GT Goku, he's going to need the extra supers to get there. But he's going to get 2 extra by mere existence. However, I will say that he has a higher chance of dying than GT Goku does just because his defense is so low. And so on a nuking lead, I mean, you have the fortunate that you can survive the KO and then evade. So you are... you have that option there for him, but it's, you know, you could still die if he doesn't evade the attacks after he survives the KO. Another good nuker is the Tech Cell and the Int Buhan. These 2 are really great here. Now, of course, I see a lot of people mentioning the Z Duo and the Super Saiyan Trio, and while they can work, I'm going to tell you firsthand that they both require a tremendous amount of RNG, much more than every other character here. You see, every other character here has built-in crit, or effective against all types, something to allow them to deal damage with their big numbers. These 2 do not, right? The Super Saiyan Trio, right, for example, where are they here? Yeah. So the Super Saiyan Trio, once you get them into standby, right, there's no crit, right? You get everything you get. They do have, I mean, it is easy for them. It's easier for them to build their charge count than it is for Gohan. But the problem is, again, without that crit and Yamcha being STR type, you end up losing you end up losing a lot of firepower, right? You go from doing 90 million to like 20 million for not critting, and, you know, since no built-in crit, you're reliant on the hidden potential, and most people don't have theirs built for crit. Because most people probably built them full dodge or leaned into their additional attacks. I know my always recommendation for finished skill type characters is crit, but I do see a lot on the friend list that are built dodge, and so that is that's going to affect if yours is built dodge, you're going to have a harder time nailing that crit, because even like mine is 30 crit and we're still missing the crit. I mean, I've missed it the last 3 times that I've done this, so you know, it's rough. And same thing goes for these guys. These guys have a little bit easier time building up their counts, because you know, they can take any key spheres, and plus the rainbow orbs that they change kind of help a little bit. However, right, again, just like the just like the Super Saiyan Trio, they don't have any crit activated when they're in standby. So once you launch that finish skill, again, you're completely reliant on everyone else. And the thing about the nuking strategies is, we'll get down to this here at the bottom, but they are heavily reliant on some of these key changers. So more so than these other guys, because you need to, like, these guys need over 130 orbs to get to deal the 90 million, whereas Gohan only needs, you know, roughly 90 to 93 orbs to do it, as we saw in our video. So moving on, right, so these are all the damage dealers. I would say that Tao is probably the best choice, followed by GT Goku, and then Tech Cell. These are going to be your best options here, most consistent team setups. Stunning and ghosts, right, you need stunners, you need ghost usher options. So these two right here, I've seen a lot of people asking why they're on the teams, the SSR or SR, if you've got them still SR, Jocko and Int Chiaotzu, and that is because of this ability right here. They have a guaranteed stuns all enemies when they show up, right? It's just boom, they're there, they stun, right? So as long as you don't have a unit that needs to be hit, like if you're going for the Tao active skill setup, right? As long as you don't have a unit that needs to be hit, they have a guaranteed stun and you're protected for the turn, which is really helpful on a nuking lead. So if you're running nuking leads rather than traditional leads, they're very, very helpful for that. So that's why you want to bring them. The androids, of course, we know they provide their ghost usher ability, right? They'll be able to use it right away when they show up and gives you a free turn. So again, as long as it's not the Tao setup that needs to get hit, you're going to be completely fine. And same with these guys. These guys right in standby also need to get hit to build their charge count, so you don't want to be stunning before they get hit as well. Hercule here for the stun and the support. He supports right, earth protecting heroes, so like Gohan, GT Goku, and these guys if you're using them, so he can be helpful there. AGL Super Saiyan 3 Goku, helpful for the stun, right? As well as he counters Yamcha's supers. So if you can time it so he's in front of the super, you get a guaranteed counter. The Mercenary Cyborg Tao is here simply because if you're going for either Tao strategy, you need him for the links. That's pretty much all that is, right? So he's, and as well, he does stuns, right? So if you're going for the Tao strategy, him not only providing the extra links, which is an extra 35% attack on Tao, that is going to be really helpful, including the stun, right? And that's, the stun is most important for the SDR Tao, because this guy does stun on his own, especially as the free stun when he shows up on rotation. So it's mostly for running the STR Tau strategy. The GT Duo, of course, we know that their deal is, right, you pop them and get that extra 90% support for whatever setup you're running here, right? They're pretty much a staple on almost every single setup to get that extra oomph on those key sphere changing. Now, one I don't see talked about a lot that are very helpful because of theirs is a super attack buff, but the Bardock and Guinea, they are incredibly useful due to their allies 22% attack and defense for 2 turns. So if you have them build additional super, that's an additional 44% raise. You know, that can be very, very helpful on certain setups. I mean, if you're running nuking leads, it doesn't really matter. They can be helpful on those setups. But even then, if you're running like the Kamehameha setup or the trio setup, they help out there a lot. for that helpful for that. They don't have any stun or ghost. I think they meant to put them under support because they're more support. Same goes for Glory. I think these three all are actually support units, right? Daima, Goku, and Glorio, because none of these guys stun. Daima Goku, obviously for his SA support, right? 44% on attack on super attack. And so you put him in slot 2 or slot 3 where he's getting up to 3 additional supers. That can be up to 120, what is that, 132% additional attack. That is very helpful, and it's almost necessary for the Z Duo or the trio especially to get their numbers up. Glory, of course, not only provides attack lowering, which can help kind of mitigate the zero defense on the Nuking leads, he also provides 50% support. So even if he shows up turn 1, he's going to be supporting the entire time because his is a 3-turn support. So there's that. Now, the support and key changers, I've been over this a dozen times here, but if you want to be successful in the Million Arena, if you want to place, you are going to need one of these type orb changers, right? The ones most especially, right, due to just the units you're using are, of course, the STR Kaba and STR Hit, right? They are very helpful for the Gohan strategy and the Tao strategies. The Fizz Gohan and Super Buu are, of course, very helpful for the GT, pretty much this strategy, and this strategy. The Super Buu strategy is very helpful for this strategy as well, since they would link pretty well together, missing only big bad bosses. The Tech Cell orb changing is of course helpful for the Tech Perfect Cell, and then Int Vegeta also helpful for this guy here, right? Because if you're going for the Int Nuking strategy, you're obviously going to want him on there. Pan is useful not because she orb changes. I mean, she orb changes, which can make her good on like the Gohan setup or the trio setup. So she orb changes to AGL, but she's helpful because she has a SA support 25%, just like the Bardock and Gine and the the Daima Goku. Slug is very helpful for the Buhan and the Gohan setup due to his domain. If you've got multiple demonic power on your team, which you would on the Buhan setup and the Gohan setup, his domain provides that extra power for Gohan to deal extra damage. The same goes for Buhan. B-Pan is all but necessary for the trio and the Z Duo setup, right? That extra 33% she gives on her active skill will help the units, will help a lot of units push past the 90 million barrier. And it's, especially for these guys with no crit, it's extremely helpful. She also stuns, right? Medium chance, but she also stuns, which can be helpful if you need it. The STR cell, of course, for the tech cell setup, providing that domain and that revive to get your turn. Like once this guy attacks, just kind of revive into the next turn. Fizz Kid Buu is more useful, most useful on the Buhan setup, where you're, just getting not only almost all of the links you need active for him to be successful, you're also giving him 70% support. So he can be used on some of these other setups, but it would require sacrificing key elements to those teams, so I wouldn't really recommend it. But he's mostly there as a link partner and support for the Buhan on the Beerus setup. So these are honestly the best units to use. At this current moment, nuking is the strategy. When round 2 drops, I imagine that's going to shift greatly, as the categories will be Earth Red fighters that you need to use, which would automatically knock out pretty much half of this list, right? This is gone, this is gone, this is gone. All of these can stay, but you lose a lot of their support options that made them successful, like the GT Duo, the Bardock and Gine, Glorio, the droids, Tech Jocko. You lose almost all of the type supports except for Gohan here, and Pan. You lose your Nuking leads. The only Nuking lead left that you can use are the STR or the Tech Goku here. So you can see how this could turn into a problem very quickly depending on how they do it. I could see for round 2, right? Oh, what happened here? Okay, I could see for round 2 here being I could see for round 2 still utilizing the GT Goku, but under this lead, because GT Goku doesn't need specifically Fizz orbs. Same with the Gohan, actually. Because he doesn't need Fizz orbs, you could probably get away with running him as the lead, using him as your attacker, and utilizing the Tech TN or the Fizz Gohan, well, actually, no, not the Fizz Gohan. It would have to be the Tech TN. If you have the Tech TN to change Tech Orbs, change the field to Tech Orbs for Goku to grab. That would probably be the way I see it there. Or just utilizing Gohan, and again, since Gohan doesn't need specific type orbs, you'll probably be able to utilize him. This one's going to be hard because a lot of their setups are not on Earthbred fighters, but I think we're still got a good chance with most of these here. The Tau setups I think are going to go all the way through, though, to be honest. So, guys, that is it for the video. If you like the video, make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And in the comments down below, let us know. Are there any strategies here you think we didn't cover? Any major damage dealers that we missed? I tried to cover all of the damage dealers that I saw here from the list. They pretty much coincide with everything that I've put out on my videos. Aside from the Super Kaioken Goku, that's pretty much the only one we haven't recorded yet. So hopefully you guys found this helpful. If you did, let us know in the comments down below. Otherwise, guys, as always, thanks for watching, and aloha.